Managing Director and Senior Fellow of GMF's Technology Program, Lindsay Gorman. Lindsay previously served in the Biden White House, in fact, as a Senior Advisor on Emerging Technology, National Security and Democracy Issues. Exactly the sort of conversation we need to be pushing forward. Let's just go first of all to China-US. For me, I'm all eyes on what happens not on January 20th, but January 19th, TikTok, whether or not we indeed will see a ban on TikTok is in the hands of the Supreme Court at the moment, and that's likely to be coming out, I think, around January the 10th. Lindsay, push us forward for a moment.
Absolutely, and I think this TikTok test really will be a litmus test of how the next administration is going to handle these geopolitical issues around China and technology competition. We're in an era where the United States, China, Europe are all racing to develop and lead in the next generation of technologies, AI, quantum information, biotechnologies. These countries have decided these technologies are going to determine the future of who leads in world affairs. And we have an incoming administration, and with its fate that will be facing really this first test on the question of TikTok. Now, Congress passed a law with overwhelming bipartisan support that would require TikTok to divest from its parent company, which is based in China, ByteDance, or face a ban, a de facto ban in the United States. And that deadline, as you mentioned, is January 19th. If TikTok does not find a new owner by January 19th, the law in effect that the president signed that received all the support on Capitol Hill would say that the app stores are no longer allowed to carry TikTok. Now, there have been so many legal disputes and so many attempts to ban TikTok in the past. This is really the first piece of legislation that's stood up to a court challenge, which happened just in the last month. And now TikTok is taking that challenge to the Supreme Court. As you mentioned, that will be in early January. Even if the law survives that challenge, though, there is this question of what an incoming Trump administration will do. He has said on the campaign trail that he will, quote, save TikTok. This is also former President Trump was also trying to ban TikTok himself during his first administration. So I think we don't really know what's going to happen come not only January 19th, but also January 20th, if the incoming president decides that he doesn't want to enforce the law. Will TikTok be banned on app stores? Will there be a buyout?
Hey, Lindsay, let's step back and just think about what a Trump presidency could mean, just in terms of technology policy writ large. And when we think about that, I think I have to ask you about Elon Musk. I would think if there's one area where he would like to have some influence, it would be in technology policy. How do you guys game that out?
Absolutely. And I think, we don't have to do too much scenario planning because we're already seeing it in action. First of all, I think everything is pointing to an era of deregulation. Trump has said he wants to focus on AI, which is consistent with the Biden administration's approach, but also crypto is going to be back in town in DC. Trump has said he wants to make the United States the crypto capital of the planet. So that's going to get more of a boost in addition to AI. And yes, this question of Elon Musk, the bro in chief, the bro oligarchy, whatever you want to call it, we've already seen his influence. Just by virtue of Elon Musk posting on X earlier this month, it almost led directly to a government shutdown over how the government was going to be funded. Congress had a bill planned to fund the government. Elon started posting on X, and it almost led to a shutdown. But I think what's really important, eventually they got a deal, but what's really important is in that deal, actually one of the provisions that was stripped out of the original spending bill that Congress was going to pass related specifically to technology investments in China. There was a provision in that original bill that said, let's place some restrictions on American investors in these really high-tech industries, AI, quantum information, semiconductors that are going to fuel future competitiveness. Now, as we know, Elon Musk and a number of other business executives do have ties to China. That's something that's very difficult to disentangle and that the United States is going through right now. So I think this CEO, this kind of supranational tech billionaire in Elon Musk having this outsized political influence really does raise questions and conflicts when it comes to U.S. national security interests and how our technology competitiveness plays into that.
Speak to the future of generative AI and regulations there, because again, it's very murky to understand perhaps which side Elon Musk will come down on. We know that he's busy taking legal action against OpenAI. He doesn't want them to be changing their for-profit structure, and that's something that we have news on today. We also know that he has been someone who's been speaking out about worries of the pace of generative AI and what that would mean for the future of humanity if it isn't regulated or some sort of safety curbs put in place. But he's also got XAI, which he's trying to grow at full throttle. So where does you come out on thinking his view on generative AI and the future of regulation there?
Yeah, well, it's so hard to figure out day to day. It truly is, and everyone has a dog in this fight. Just in the last month, we've seen developments come from OpenAI with their new O1 model. Google has put forward this Gemini 2.0 model. So the race is really on. As you mentioned, Elon Musk himself has the Grok platform that's coming out now with AI image generators based on that. So I think the name of the game, though, is very much going to be innovation at almost all costs. That we don't, no one really wants to slow down the pace of innovations is such that the United States would not lead in it. But I think really where the debate will be is, are there going to be guardrails, or are those guardrails going to come too little too late? Now, the U.S. AI Safety Institute that was established by the AI executive order is now reviewing these models. They put out their first review, a technical review of OpenAI's O1 model, and it was assessing things like, is this actually doing what it says it's going to do? Because if you're going to use these models, these AI systems in large-scale consequential decisions, making loan decisions in financial markets, medical devices, medical inputs, and our healthcare system, you don't want to get this wrong. And right now, as we know, AI hallucinates, it gets a lot wrong, it's not always right all the time. And so that's where a lot of regulatory conversation is. So I think the question really is guardrails or no guardrails, and we have a lot of parties who want to run ahead.
Lindsay, 30 seconds. Is there any way to avoid a technology Cold War between China and the West? It seems like we're in the early innings of that.
I think it's not a Cold War because we're very connected with China in a way that we never were with Russia. But I would just say that it's not only the U.S. making the decisions here, and China itself has tried to create a push for its own supremacy as well.
Lindsay, so good having you. Lindsay Gorman, GMF's technology program. We appreciate the insights as we push towards 2025. We look at what's happening with tech right here, right now, and look, it's under pressure in terms of selling pressure on the markets. Look, 1.4% lower, 1.9% if you look in the NASDAQ 100. In large part, this is thanks to one of the biggest sell-offs we've seen in NVIDIA, for example, since November the 25th, Paul. We're clearly seeing some profit-taking on some of the standout names.
Yeah, and a little bit higher volume as well on the NASDAQ. That gets your attention on when the rest of the market, we're seeing some lower volume here. So, again, the S&P, and it's led by the big tech names that it kind of led you on the way up. You think about the NVIDIAs, the Teslas, the Amazons, and the Microsofts of the world. They